So I hope everybody's doing fine today, staying well, staying healthy, staying calm and positive. And so let's do the chanting right now so that we can get into the meditations and then the Dharma talk just after that. Namo Tassa Bhagavato ArahatoSammaSambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato ArahatoSammaSambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato ArahatoSammaSambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami, Dudayambi Buddham saranam gacchami, Dudayambi Dhammam saranam gacchami, Dudayambi Sangham saranam gacchami, Tatayambi Buddham saranam gacchami, Tatayambi Dhammam saranam gacchami, Tatayambi Sangham saranam gacchami. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May they be free from suffering and its causes. May they never be parted from the happiness beyond suffering. May they abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment to the near, and aversion from the far. I shall cause this. Great compassionate Buddha, please inspire me to be able to do so. Reverently, I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind, and present clouds of every types of offerings, actual and mentally transformed. I confess all of my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in all the virtues of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until cyclic existence ends, and turn the wheel of Dharma for all sentient beings. I dedicate the virtues of myself and others to the great enlightenment. However innumerable all sentient beings are, I vow to save them all. However inexhaustible my delusions are, I vow to extinguish them all. However immeasurable the Dharma teachings are, I vow to master them all. However endless the Buddha's way is, I vow to follow it completely. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Tayata Om Gate Gate Parasam Gate Bodhe Soha. Tayata Om Gate Gate Parasam Gate Bodhe Soha. Tayata Om Gate Gate Parasam Gate Bodhi Soha. So now you can get yourself ready, nice and comfortable for the meditations. Initially, we will release the tension from the body, which will also help you to release the tension from the mind. Bringing the mind inside the body now, scan it, from the bottom to the top, from your toes to your shoulders, to your fingers, and then to the top of your head. Just to see if you can release, or if you have any tension, and then you can release this tension. So working your way up your legs, then up to your shoulders, down to your fingers, to your head, the back, the sides, your face, and the crown of your head. And now scan the body again the same way, just to see if you can release any more tension. And now bring your mind to your breath. Initially the tip of your nose as you feel the breath, as you breathe in, breathing in all the way into the lungs. They expand as they fill with air. As you breathe out, they compress and the air leaves the body through your nose again. Just a little extra detail, you may notice the air is quite cool on the back of your throat as you breathe in your nose. And then as you breathe out, as it passes your throat, it's quite warm as it leaves your body. And you may want to add an extra technique of counting the breaths. One breath in, one breath out is one, and so on and so forth. But don't count past 10. And if your mind becomes distracted on the way to 10, then go back to 1 at that time. It's not a game we're playing. It's not some sort of competition. So don't worry, what we are doing is helping ourselves to develop better concentration, more clear mind, on our way to developing the one-pointed concentration and realizing samadhi. So breathing in and breathing out, that's all we have to do right now. Past is gone, future never arrives. And each moment is passing, it's fleeting. So keep yourself in the present by focusing on your breath, here and now. If thoughts arise, or any other mental activity arises, don't cling to it. Don't grasp at it. Don't try to forcefully push it away either, or deny it. Just let it go naturally by replacing your mind back onto your breath. And if your mind starts to become dull or sleepy during this short session, then wake it up a little bit by refocusing on your breath more brightly. So let's practice like this for a few minutes in silence. Don't try too hard, don't try too little. So now you can feel very pleased with yourself for engaging in this short practice. Whatever time that we spend practicing meditation, it's always very helpful. It will always help us, whether it's short 3 to 4 minute sessions like we do during this Zoom class, or whether it's what I like to call the meditation in a cup, if some of you may remember that jokingly. In other words, 2 to 3 minute meditations, or in other words, whenever you have time, just meditate, even if it's only for a minute. And also your longer sessions, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 1 hour, or however long you want to do it for, you feel comfortable. You should also always feel really happy with yourself when you practice the meditation. Now fill yourself with universal loving kindness. Appreciation, acceptance of yourself as you are right now. Friendliness towards yourself. Honesty. Gentleness. Non-violence and harmlessness. Kindness towards yourself. Fill yourself with so much loving kindness that it now overflows outwards, radiates initially to your loved ones, family and friends, and also fills them with so much loving kindness. And gradually, further and further now, extend this loving kindness. Now radiates also to strangers, those people that you may know a little bit, or not at all. You have some indifference towards, no, not attached to or attached to or aversion from. And even to those you may regard as enemies, those people that you find irritating, or for whatever reason. Maybe they've been really nasty to you, or they're just irritating. Maybe they behave extremely bad too. You don't condone their behavior, but you still extend this loving kindness towards them, wishing that they, as well as all of the other types of people, your friends, the strangers and the enemies, all have happiness and the causes of happiness, and that they are free from suffering and the causes of suffering, and that they be at peace with themselves and everything that surrounds them. Now extend this loving kindness out further and further to include initially all of those living beings around your immediate area. It's up to you how immediate or how large this area is. It could just be around your garden and your house, or it could be around maybe a few hundred meters around you, or even your whole suburb, or your city. Up to you. But all of these living beings, the humans as well as the animals and the insects, those beings that you can see, those ones you can't see, large or small, strong or weak, whether they live on the ground or in the waters, fly through the air, whether they are born from wombs, eggs, moisture, or through transformation. May all of these beings be happy, free from suffering, and be peaceful. Gradually, further and further now, extend this loving kindness throughout your whole state or county. And other states and counties. Until your loving kindness pervades your whole country. All of the living beings within your country, whether you know them or not, whether you're even aware of them or not. May they be peaceful, happy, free from suffering. and now extend throughout other countries, those you have an affinity towards and familiar with, whether that be directly or indirectly or inferentially. Those ones you are indifferent towards, and even those countries that you find, for whatever reason, you find that you have some sort of aversion towards. Throughout the whole world, have your loving kindness be extended, radiated. Further and further, like a tidal wave of loving kindness going out, now pervading the whole solar system and other solar systems throughout the whole galaxy and other galaxies throughout the whole universe, until your loving kindness pervades throughout infinite space, this immeasurable loving kindness, whilst at the same time be present here and now, and we will recite the dedication prayer. Due to this merit, may I soon attain the enlightened state of the Buddha, so that I may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious body Chitta, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. And may the precious view of Shunyata, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. And so we will continue to discuss Vesak, because it's still kind of Vesak week, isn't it? Vesak coming from the Sanskrit word and Pali word Vesaka, which is the fourth lunar month, or the fourth month of the lunar calendar. And the Buddha was born, as you know, and attained enlightenment and passed away on the full moon day of Vesaka, many, many years ago now. So I think it was 2,646 years ago was born, 2,611 attained enlightenment, and then 2,000, I've got it written down here, 2,566 years ago passed away. So of course that changes every year, doesn't it? That's why I don't remember exactly. But anyway, it's quite a while ago. A funny thing happened, I just thought about this now. This happened maybe about 10 times in my life. Is very nice people, these questions came from Christians, saying, what did Buddha say about Jesus? And then the first time this was asked to me, I said to them, what was it? What did Abraham Lincoln say about Bill Clinton? Because he was, I think, the president at that time. Do you get my joke? Abraham Lincoln was hundreds of years ago and Bill Clinton hadn't been born yet. In other words, the Buddha didn't say anything about Jesus because it was 500 or more than 500 years earlier, 600 years earlier. So that was an interesting one. And I've been asked that question since. And of course, I haven't answered the same cryptic type way. I've explained to them that, of course, he said nothing because it was much earlier. So in a different part of the world, different time. But I always say to people, jokingly, but also seriously as well, the more good guys, the better. Doesn't matter what your beliefs are. The more good guys, the better in this world, to counteract the difficult, sort of evil type behavior that happens sometimes. Anyway, or often, all the time. So last week I recited towards the end of the class my birth song, this song about the birth of the Buddha, and also the song about the enlightenment and the teaching, which initially, actually, I'll just share with you, was 2 songs. It was a really short song with and sort of interlude in between, joining it to the second song. The first song was called The Enlightenment, and then the interlude was part of that song, and then it went into and became a medley with the teaching song. And over time, of course, I just speak about it as one song, the enlightenment and the teaching. And so I thought today I'd give some commentary on this, and then going into next week, because of course the teaching song is about the Buddha's first teaching and related teachings. And so this specifically is kind of like a paraphrase of the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, or the discourse of turning the wheel of the Dharma, or the first turning of the wheel of the Dharma discourse. Okay, so Dhamma Chakra means the Dharma wheel, turning the wheel of Dharma. Pavatana means to put in motion. So yeah, another way to translate it is putting in motion the wheel of Dharma. Okay, so, and of course that covers the Eightfold Path, 3 higher trainings, the law of karma and interdependency. And so I thought maybe, because I thought about doing this because this will actually cover some of the questions I've been asked. And I think maybe it's an interesting way for everybody else to hear that, rather than just hearing a question or a few questions and then the answer or answers. And so, right, just to hear it kind of more in a discourse or a commentary. And so let's go to the birth song first of all. And I listened back to it, by the way, and I really should have picked the guitar up because I haven't been singing much. I actually sung quite ordinarily last week, even though it wasn't really singing, it was more just reciting it in words. But there was a few notes here and there, and I listened to it. I thought, no, I either should have had the guitar or just spoke it. But anyway, so let's do it as a poem today, and then I'll explain it. I'll do verse by verse. After an extraordinary dream, it came to be the queen had conceived and was with child. So just to, whether you believe this to be absolute fact or whether you see it as metaphor or teachings to be understood, you know, to be thought about, contemplated, up to you. It doesn't really matter. But apparently the queen, Mahamaya, the Queen Maya, the Buddha's mother, she had a dream, and it was a white elephant coming down from Tushita heaven into one of the heavens, you know, and into her womb and being there, okay? Now, it said it could be like a metaphor for the Bodhisattva to become Siddhartha Gautama, to become the Buddha. He was a god, head god. It is said in Tushita heaven for the lifetime before he was to attain enlightenment as a Buddha. And so this is like the story, and this is apparently the story of all Buddhas in this sense. So apparently at the moment, Maitreya Buddha, Maitreya Bodhisattva, Mahasattva is in this Tushita heaven and will be reborn at some stage on this planet when the karmic conditions are correct, when the time is right, in other words. Anyway, so it is said that the Bodhisattva came down from the Tushita heaven, and when the sperm of the father and the egg of the mother united, then the consciousness unites the same time as this. And then the Bodhisattva was there in the womb. Minute, of course, you know, you could say microscopic, but nevertheless, the consciousness was there at that time. So the queen apparently had this amazing dream. And then, of course, later on, they found out that she was, in fact, pregnant. And so to reiterate that verse, after an extraordinary dream, it came to be the queen had conceived and was with child. All rejoiced in anticipation of the coming royal birth. Peace and love reigned throughout the nation, heaven and earth. So it is said, you know, in the scriptures, in the recollection of this time and this part of the Buddha's story, that all of the people in that part, in that kingdom, whether some people say quite small kingdom, some people say a bit larger, doesn't matter. But in that kingdom, all of the people rejoiced in the fact that the queen had had these good signs, but also that she was to give birth. And anywhere around the world, I think even to this modern times, when there is a king and queen or some sort of head of the country or the region, when the wife becomes pregnant, then there is some sort of rejoicing in this time. And so they were very, very happy. But it is also said that in the heavens as well, all of the gods were happy. But of course, we can't perceive that as human beings, so we shouldn't say yes or no with that one. So heaven and earth. So the queen and attendants began their journey to her childhood home, as was the way in days gone by. As they reached the gardens of Lumbini, filled with flowers and singing birds, the moon was shining brightly high in the sky. So in those days, apparently, especially I imagine the royalty, they would go, the wife would go, the mother-to-be would go back to her family's home for the birth. And so when the time started to come closer to the birth, or the time of the birth, the queen and her attendants, they took a journey back towards the kingdom where she originally came from. So back to her childhood home, as was the way in days gone by. As they reached the gardens of Lumbini, which apparently was a garden set up like a small lake there, like a very large pond, set up for the queen, for these particular types of journeys, back and forth between the kingdoms. And they reached this beautiful garden. There was flowers, there was singing birds, at the time, and the moon was full, as we know, shining brightly high in the sky. And she knew that her time was near. So knowing her time was near, she said, "I can go on no more. Lay me down by the lake to give birth by the shore." All rejoiced in anticipation as she leaned against the knowing tree. The prince was born in that moment painlessly. So she knew, she had the feeling, as if those of you who have been mothers, maybe you already know this, you have this feeling coming. Sometimes it's a false alarm, but most of the time maybe not. And then so she knew the birth pangs were coming. And so basically she said to take her down by the water. And then once she was down there, she leaned against a tree. And I say knowing tree because of the legend in the story, which we don't need to go into right now. But apparently all of nature also was rejoicing in this event that was about to happen, the birth of a bodhisattva to become a Buddha. And so, so she leaned against a knowing tree, and the prince was born in that moment painlessly. Apparently, she did not experience any pain. And once again, whether this is metaphor or whether it actually happened like that, doesn't really matter. Heavenly music filled the air. Heavenly flowers rained down upon the earth. The rainbows appeared in the sky. Peace was felt throughout the land. The earth stood still with understanding, and nature smiled. So once again, very flowery lyric there that I used. It's a sort of in the spirit of what is written in the stories of the Buddha's life and the birth of the Buddha. And so I utilized what was already written, but also just a little bit of creative license there as well. So heavenly music filled the air. This is basically saying that heaven and earth is rejoicing. All of the wonderful, the sounds were able to be heard. Heavenly music filled the air. Heavenly flowers rained down upon the earth. It is said in the scriptures that the flowers came down from the heavens. And once again, if this is metaphor, that's cool. If this is absolutely what happened, that's cool too. Whether all people could, and all beings could perceive it, or whether just beings that already attained very high levels of concentration could perceive it, and high levels of wisdom. It doesn't really matter. So then the heavenly flowers rained down upon the earth. Rainbows appeared in the sky, which is interesting, isn't it? Because it was nighttime. So I believe. So then rainbows appeared in the sky. Peace was felt throughout the land. The earth stood still with understanding and nature smiled. This is basically saying that everything was in balance for the birth, the time of the birth of a bodhisattva that was for sure to attain enlightenment in that lifetime. Okay, so we'll leave that one there. And then there's a music interlude, and then it goes into the next part where the prince is actually born. Amazingly, the child did stand. He took 7 steps. With each appeared a lotus flower. So it is said that when the prince was actually born, to become Siddhartha, when the bodhisattva was born, that he actually stood straight away. Once again, whether this is metaphor or whether this is absolute truth, it's okay, either way. So anyway, apparently, and it took 7 steps, not just 7 steps actually, it was 7 steps in 4 directions, in the cardinal directions. So 28 steps, but once again, for the song and for the limited time we had to do this, in the actual musical of the birth of the Buddha, where I kept the song at least about 6.5 minutes, I think. And so they just did in the musical, we just did 7 steps, okay? So for the young child playing the Bodhisattva. So anyway, the 28 steps in the different directions. Apparently lotus flowers popped up, okay? And all rejoiced with realization that this was no ordinary child, as he so boldly proclaimed. So apparently the young Bodhisattva also spoke words. He says, "This is my last birth. I am the foremost in this world. I will lead and guide you. I am the highest. Now there is no more rebirth for me. I will teach the truth." Once again, slightly creative license there with the words I used, but basically definitely within the spirit and within the truth of what he said at that time. Once again, if this actually happened or not, we don't know because we weren't there at the time. So once again, the Buddha, I remind you, the Buddha said, don't believe anything until you know it for sure for yourself. But it's nice and it's possible that these things could happen. And then, of course, he would have gone back to being just the ordinary baby, even though not ordinary, because already bodhisattva, yes, but still had to go through the growing period of going from a baby to young child and so on and so forth, okay? So whether these were, like I said, really nice stories told at the time to do accord with tradition and to show people and express to people how important this was an event to happen, or whether they actually happened like this. Everything is possible, isn't it? You know, somebody asked me a while ago, you know, do you believe in miracles in Buddhism? And this question has come to me many times. And I say they're only miracles to us because we're imperfect. So anything is possible from a Buddha, okay? From high-level bodhisattvas, many things they can do that we would perceive probably as miracles. Pretty much the same with the arahants, you know, being able to read people's minds, things like this. This is said to be clairvoyant and so forth, but actually it's just natural for these beings, okay? And for fully enlightened Buddha even also. So, so all of these things are possible. So then I took the opportunity at the end of the song to really give a teaching and guidance. And so let me try to think of the lyric. I will teach the truth. It seemed that all of nature knew the child born that day would be the man to show the way, to set us free. In other words, to teach the Dharma so that we can practice the Dharma and we can set ourselves free. So let us live with love and patience and understanding in all relations. And as we reach out to each other, let us remember the care of our mother. Let us remember the love of our mother. We owe our life to our mother. Always respect, love, and care for our mother. Now you can take this from that one lifetime, and this also includes father as well, of course. But obviously the mother's the one that carries the baby in the womb. But as we say, infinite lifetimes, infinite parents, right? So all beings have one stage been our mother. So we need to love, care, respect, care for all living beings, okay? So let us live with love and patience and understanding in all relations. So love, patience, and understanding whenever we are relating with others and even thinking about others and towards yourself. In this lifetime, this physical part of our lifetime, of course, it's up to our lifetime is to do with our own karma, isn't it? But in this lifetime, we are born from the mother and father, but it's through the mother's body. Of course, I realize only 1 minute and 20 seconds to go. So I think that one will cover that song and we'll continue the next song. Hopefully you will enjoy these teachings and get a lot from them. And like I said, the next one is related to the teachings very much so, as well as the enlightenment time of the Buddha. So the enlightenment song and the teaching song we will talk about next week. I hope you have enjoyed the class. And happy Vesak again to you, if you are still celebrating, or I know some people are celebrating this weekend. And also I took part in a Vesak forum yesterday evening. So anyway, I rejoice in your goodness as usual, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care of yourselves, take care of others around you. Try to be as peaceful and calm as possible. Practice the Dharma to the best of your ability. Share the Dharma to the best of your ability.